what is Luna's Boggart? Hey, brother! What is Luna Lovegood's Boggart? Because for a non-Gryffindor character, she seems almost unfazed by anything. Neville is afraid of Snape, Harry Dementors, Ron Smiters, but Luna gets kidnapped by Death Eaters, and you'd think that her stay in the Malfoy's basement was a mere inconvenience.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Sir, I like her very much.
We do too, Dept. We do too. Luna Lovegood is aptly named for being one of the most lovable characters in the saga. Her unique and airy persona seems to exist entirely unto itself, unbothered in many ways by the typical concerns you may expect from your usual high schooler. But at the same rate, deeply valuing some of the most obvious things, like friendship.
Sorry I made you miss the carriages, by the way, Luna.
That's all right. It was like being with a friend.
Well, I am your friend, Luna.
Which is why today I submit my argument that Luna Lovegood is basic.
That's nice.
I'm of course just kidding, she's obviously not. But when it comes to understanding the characters within the wonderful world of Harry Potter, we can usually take heed of things like their house, first and foremost, Wandwood and Core, Patronus, Animagus, and of course, Boggart. Neville, for example, grows to be the ultimate Gryffindor. His final key act is pulling the Sword of G itself, and not because he's always behaved bravely, but because he has always valued bravery.
Why is it always me?
It wasn't always his most obvious trait, though to be fair, sometimes it was, but more importantly, it's what he always aspired to be.
I'll fight you.
Neville, I'm really sorry about this.
Then there's Harry's Wandwood and Core. Holly is deeply associated with Christmas, notably for their red berries and green leaves, which also echo Harry and Voldemort's opposing red and green traits, and they have brother wands, so those two are just super tied together. Plus, in many ways, Harry's life and journey is an allegory for that holiday's namesake, what with returning from the dead and being the savior of his people.
But I am the chosen one.
Also, and I think this is less intentional overall, but his wand is made of Hollywood, as in Hollywood, as in the famous Harry Potter.
But I am the chosen one.
Okay, we just said that, Harry.
Okay, sorry.
Moving on to Patronuses, we can again look to Harry, who receives strength from his stag form that he shares the qualities and bravery of his father, whose Animagus form was a stag. And on that note, Animagus forms also make the list, and James's form as a stag is almost more foreshadowing for his son, because the stag is the king of the forest, and where does Harry go to make his ultimate sacrifice? The forest. Again.
Okay, sorry.
That's actually the name of the chapter that scene happens in, and again, because we had the Forbidden Forest as a chapter in Harry's first year, where similarly, Hagrid, Voldemort, and Harry are all present at once, as they ultimately will be during Harry's eventual return.
No! What are you doing here?
I know, it's neat, right? Like literature.
Who knew?
But that brings us to Boggart's fear. And Luna is absolutely ripe for this question because she encounters many dangerous scenarios and largely, and at times maybe even literally, skips, like skipping, like the definition of casual accelerated movement, past them. So what form would Luna's Boggart take, or would it just retreat in fear of Luna's unfazed, protuberant eyes? Today, we discuss. Honestly, I think it's remarkable that we have never touched on this question before, but huge shout out to Memon the Lemon 76 for submitting it. And submitted it, this morning, in case you guys are wondering how production works around here. But upon deep contemplation on this subject, it really shines a bright light on just how unique Luna is as a character. Because for whatever reason, her kind heart always locked her in my brain as a Hufflepuff, even though she is very decidedly and importantly a Ravenclaw.
Well, there's Rowena Ravenclaw's lost diadem.
Huh?
But then if you look closely at what she's been through and how she handles it, you'd maybe even want to reach for Gryffindor in bravery, because she doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. In a unique way, though, this could disqualify her, as bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's tenacity in the face of fear. Think of Ron in the forest with the spiders. Raw animal bravery, am I right? No. But we're not here to talk about Ron today.
Wicked.
So let's start perusing some usual suspects and candidates for Luna's Boggart and see where it takes us, because to her credit, she's in some pretty terrifying situation. First and foremost, our introduction to Luna comes during Harry's 5th year, where he's totally freaking out because of the Thestrals he can now see because of reasons. sorry. I'm laughing about something else. Where were we? Oh yes, Luna, who can also see Thestrals too.
I can see them too. You're just as
Same as I am.
You're just as sane as I am. Luna, fortunately, was not there for the death of Cedric, but was present for the death of her mother, which is also why she can see the Thestrals. And this is the kind of thing that would not be a reach for what her Boggart form may be. Similar to Molly fearing the potential loss of family members, Luna may see her mother in death. However, when Harry asks her about this, Luna seems to demonstrate her relationship to the scene in her own unique way. Have you, he began, has anyone you've known ever died? Yes, said Luna simply. My mother, she was quite an extraordinary witch, you know, but she did like to experiment, and one of her spells went rather badly wrong one day. I was 9. It's the trappings for a devastating scene, but it's just not how Luna relates to the loss. Here's that same conversation continued. I'm sorry, Harry mumbled. Yes, it was rather horrible, said Luna conversationally. I still feel very sad about it sometimes, but I've still got Dad, and anyway, it's not as though I'll never see Mum again. Is it? Now, I'm not going to say that this reaction is not unique, but it seems like a healthy position on the whole, a key area where Luna's worldview is working extremely well for her. Harry, on the other hand, questions this line of thinking, wondering how she could expect to see her again. Which is rich, considering Harry has already seen his dead parents twice by that point, in the mirror and in the graveyard. Harry has concrete evidence of this possibility, while Luna has nothing but faith, but it's enough faith for me to dismiss her mother being the subject of her Boggart. So while we're on that subject, let's move on to the Thestrals themselves and flying. We, the readers, of course, all romanticize the Fantastic Beasts of the series, but coming face to possibly invisible face with a Thestral in real life, I imagine would be quite spooky. Did something just burn me? Ugh. Prop apple. Where did it go? Luna, however, just accepts them for exactly what they are, and she has no fear of riding them side saddle, I might add, which is quite different from Hermione's response to riding on the backs of flying beasts. Hermione was holding Harry very tight around the waist. He could hear her muttering, "Oh no, I don't like this. Oh, I really don't like this." Harry urged Buckbeak forward. And even Ron's experience on an actual Thestral. Ron landed a short way away and toppled immediately off his Thestral onto the pavement. Never again, never ever again. That was the worst. To be fair, Ron's ride was invisible, so that does seem scary. Then there's Luna. Harry found there was a way of lodging his knees behind the wing joints that made him feel more secure and looked around at the others. Luna was already in place, sitting side saddle and adjusting her robes as though she did this every day. So yeah, Thestrals, flight, heights, also out. I mean, there's a whole scene where she's feeding them raw meat while standing barefoot outside in the cold. So we can also remove salmonella and marriage. That's a cold feet joke. Speaking of cold feet, we don't want you to have them either, which is why we created our very first ever pair of SuperCarlinBrothers socks that are amazing. Check them out now at CarlinBrothersMercantile.com. But y'all, we just gotta take a brief pause right there to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Shopify. Here's a thing to know about me. I love ideas a lot. I love thinking, in fact, but there comes a time when the idea shifts from this fun thought experiment and becomes a thing you can put into the world. You can ask anyone in this office. I was freaking out the day we launched our tour tickets for the first time. But it totally worked out and is now singularly my favorite part of this job. But if you have an idea that you love, but you're worried about how it may land if executed, look no further than to Shopify to be your right-hand web designer, bookkeeper, and forecasting advisor. Because Shopify is like a fully loaded business partner all in one. You can use their gorgeous templates to get your store off the ground in no time, and Shopify scales wonderfully as your business grows, making it a perfect fit for a business just starting, but can also handle the hordes of business that your genius idea will attract. You can do this. Y'all, it's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/SCB. Again, that's shopify.com/SCB. One last time for safety, shopify.com/SCB. And now back to the video, Anyway, back to Boggarts. As we travel down the list even further, let's take a look at violence and or combat. Here's a great scene, for example. I mean, that'll do it, right? Like being punched in the face by a masked wizard in a scary place. But even still, y'all, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she's fine and good at fighting. Ha! Okay, fine. That's a bad joke. But it's not just then either. We have a great Luna moment in the Battle of Hogwarts, and it's at a moment when Harry himself can barely keep going. Harry, come on, screamed Hermione. 100 Dementors were advancing, gliding toward them, sucking their way closer to Harry's despair, which was like a promise of a feast. But then, that's right, said Luna encouragingly, as if they were back in the room of requirement and this was simply spell practice for the DA. That's right, Harry. Come on, think of something happy. So yeah, what do we got here? Dying in combat, 100 Dementors. Yeah, crossing those off the list. Okay, this next one though, surely, how could it not be? Kidnapping. Because this one surely scared Xenophilius. Honestly, as a dad, I fully get it. That's beyond nightmare fuel, and in no way would I lessen how he's feeling here. Luna, however...
You're bleeding, Harry. It's a curious thing to keep in yourself.
You can actually hear Hermione screaming upstairs, and Luna is focused on sock-related contents. So, kidnapping... honestly, not even close. But this is like the beauty of being asked this question and why it made for such a fun topic to dissect. Luna is put in perilous situations nearly constantly from the moment we meet her, and her unflappable nature is probably what endears her to us the readers in such a great way.
You're just as sane as I am.
Because it's not like Luna will be quick to dismiss these fears in any way. Like on the whole, they are things to fear, but Luna means moon, and the moon is a bright spot in a dark sky, and she embodies that quality whenever it's asked of her, and even when it's not.
Harry Potter, you listen to me right now.
As a result, this lands her in a similar column with Harry. Harry is a Gryffindor because of his valiant bravery. He understands the importance of fear, and as a result, his Boggart also takes a unique form, a Dementor.
That suggests that what you fear the most is fear itself. This is very wise.
And you might be thinking, does that mean that Luna shares this position, that she fears fear? And again, it's not that. If anything, I think Luna would appreciate fear. She would see it as a source of information, something that would be valued by the Ravenclaw that she truly is. So where to look to find the answer? This wasn't easy and required us to look in an unusual place, because it's ultimately not fear that will take us to the answer, but instead what Luna deeply values. And in understanding that, the pieces slide wonderfully into place. You need to look no further than Luna's own bedroom, where upon her ceiling you see a hand-painted illustration of Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny, and Neville, and what appeared to be fine golden chains wove around the pictures, linking them together. But after examining them for a minute or so, Harry realized that the chains were actually one word repeated 1,000 times in golden ink. Friends, friends, friends. Luna does not favor popularity, but she does value friendship. And when you consider the 5 people she's depicted on her ceiling are people she doesn't properly meet until Harry's 5th year, it means she has spent time alone. For this to be what Luna values most deeply, it means it must have solved something that she most disliked, being alone. But here's the best part. If being alone is what Luna most fears, then what happens when she faces a Boggart? It disappears. Luna is our light in the night, and a Boggart cannot exist in her presence. This is even cooler when you think back to the line about Luna losing her mother, and she says, "It's okay, I've still got Dad," which on some level demonstrates her ability to look on the bright side, but still having Dad also means, it's okay, I'm not alone. Honestly, you guys can challenge this one all you want. It's my headcanon, and
You can't take it from me.
you know what, on that exact note, think of like the Malfoy's basement. It's like scary, dark, dangerous. She's been kidnapped, all bad things. However, there's one thing she's not. Alone.
Okay, sorry.
Y'all, as always, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any future Harry Potter action from us. If you'd like to see how Luna is slowly transforming into a wolf, you can check out this video right over here. But otherwise, until next time, bye!